As global political and business elites come together for the 54th Annual World Economic Forum meeting in Davos, Switzerland, to deliberate on the most pressing global issues, a counter-movement dubbed Better Than Davos is mobilizing against it.
At European level,
Fight Inequality Kenya, which is leading the charge locally, says that the world's wealthiest people have rigged the global economic order in their favor.
It seems like the IMF has become an official debt collector for the creditors, whereby they impose certain conditions on our governments, and those conditions include cutting spending on public services, cutting spending on education, cutting spending on healthcare, and that keeps away medicine from our hospitals. That keeps our children out of school.
The organization is demanding that the government makes public the terms of loans acquired and negotiate unconditional debt relief. Figures from the central bank put Kenya's public debt at 10.5 trillion as of December 2023, with external debt standing at 5 trillion. President William Ruto has maintained that tax increments introduced via the Finance Act 2023 are intended to ensure Kenya meets its debt obligations, which now amount to 68.3% of the country's GDP, according to the IMF. But the organization contends that the present tax regime is punitive to the poor.
We have an example where there are VAT exemptions for helicopter and small aircraft spare parts, but not for textbooks or medication. So when we say tax the rich, we mean that they should pay their fair taxes, and if there's any consideration in terms of tax paying, it should be for the most marginalized and most vulnerable.
FIA Kenya is also pushing back against austerity measures imposed by the International Monetary Fund, which has seen Kenya pull back on subsidies and lay the groundwork for the privatization of 11 parastatals.
Health is a right and not a privilege. We demand that the universal health care initiatives at national and county levels focus on access, quality, prevention, and affordability to reduce the more often than not financially devastating cost of care for families.
More than 250 billionaires and millionaires have now written an open letter demanding the introduction of wealth taxes to fund public services. FIA Kenya is backing these calls.
We see time and time again where government puts taxes for everyone, but there is a cap so that those who pay, who have the most, who earn the most, who have more money, so they say this percentage, and then when it comes to certain millions, it is said then it is capped, so they can't pay more than versus the rest of us who are paying a percentage. That is what we are talking about when we talk about, taxing the rich and getting the rich to pay their fair share.
We must go beyond the corruption we lose through the budget and the bigger corruption by multinational corporations. The multinational corporations and the wealthy who use their resources to influence some of the actions that are actually also being taken by our governments.
The organization joins mounting calls for the Kenya Kwanza government to review its tax regime to relieve pressure on Kenyans. Muriel Adhiambo, K24 TV, Nairobi.